For today's meditation, I'll just read from 2 Samuel chapter 20, verses 1 to 7. Now there happened to be there a worthless fellow whose name was Sheba, the son of Bichri, a Benjaminite, and he blew the trumpet and said, "We have no portion in David, and we have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his tents, O Israel." So all the men of Israel withdrew from David and followed Sheba, the son of Bichri. But the men of Judah followed their king steadfastly from the Jordan to Jerusalem. And David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the king took the 10 concubines whom he had left to care for the house and put them in a house under guard and provided for them, but did not go into them. So they were shut up until the day of their death, living as if in widowhood. Then the king said to Amasa, "Call the men of Judah together to me with 3 days, and be here yourself." So Amasa went to summon Judah, but it delayed beyond the set time which had been appointed him. And David said to Abishai, "Now Sheba, the son of Bichri, will do us more harm than Absalom. Take your Lord's servant and pursue him, lest he get himself fortified cities and cause us trouble." And there went out after Abishai, Joab, and the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and all the mighty men. And they went out from Jerusalem to pursue Sheba, the son of Bichri. After enduring the heartbreaking rebellion of his son Absalom and finally regaining control of his kingdom in Jerusalem, King David faced another uprising, this time led by a man named Sheba, the son of Bichri, a Benjaminite. David's prior experience with rebellion, particularly with Absalom, had been marked by hesitation. His failure to act swiftly allowed Absalom to win the hearts of the people, and David was forced to flee for his life. This serves as a powerful reminder that when we fail to confront rebellion within ourselves or in those around us, we may risk losing the positions and privileges God has granted to us. Sheba's revolt was born out of division and opportunism. He sought to exploit David's weakened state following the turbulence caused by Absalom's rebellion. Sheba blew a trumpet, an ancient call to war or assembly, using this act to divide the kingdom further. His rallying cry was a direct challenge to David's authority. "We have no portion in David and no inheritance in the son of Jesse." This statement sought to alienate the northern tribes from David, a member of Judah's tribe. Sheba rejected David's kingship, but more significantly, he failed to see that God had ordained David as king. His rebellion against David was ultimately a rebellion against God. Scripture warns us about rebellion against authority. In Romans chapter 13, verse 1 and 2, Paul writes, "Let every man be subject to the governing authorities. For there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment." Sheba's actions, though directed at a human king, were also an affront to God's divine order, and such rebellion could only end in destruction. Unlike his response to Absalom, David recognized the threat Sheba posed and acted decisively. He instructed Abishai, "Now Sheba, the son of Bichri, will do us more harm than Absalom." And instructed, "Take your Lord's servants and pursue him, lest he get himself fortified cities and cause us trouble." David knew that allowing Sheba's rebellion to fester could cost precious lives and resources. His swift action to suppress this uprising teaches us an important lesson. When sin or rebellion arises, whether in our personal lives or in those we lead, it must be dealt with swiftly. If left unchecked, it can escalate into something much more destructive, consuming our time, energy, and the well-being of others. In the midst of this crisis, we witness another act of rebellion and treachery from Joab, David's general. David had replaced Joab with Amasa as commander of his army, perhaps in an attempt to unify the people after Absalom's rebellion. But Joab, driven by jealousy and fear of losing his position, murdered Amasa in cold blood. This was not Joab's first act of treachery. He had previously killed Abner, another commander, without just cause. David's tolerance of Joab's rebellion actions eventually caught up with him. On his deathbed, David instructed his son Solomon to deal with Joab's past crimes, saying in 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 5, "You know what Joab, son of Zeruiah, did to me, what he did to the two commanders of Israel's armies, Abner, son of Ner, and Amasa, son of Jether. He killed them, shedding their blood in peacetime as if in battle." Joab's betrayal illustrates the truth that rebellion and treachery, if not addressed, will eventually come to light and bring consequences, either in this life or the next. We are called to address the sin of rebellion decisively, whether it is in ourselves or in those around us. Sheba's rebellion ended in a town called Abel of Beth-makkah, where he sought refuge. As Joab prepared to besiege the city, a wise woman from the town intervened. She approached Joab and reasoned with him, appealing to the value of the city and its people. She said, "Why will you swallow up the heritage of the Lord?" Joab agreed to spare the city if Sheba were handed over to him. The wise woman then convinced the townspeople to execute Sheba, thus saving the city from destruction. Her actions show us the importance of wisdom in dealing with rebellion and sin. Rather than protecting the rebel, the city acted to remove the source of danger. It's a powerful metaphor for how we should deal with sin in our own lives. And faced with rebellion, wisdom calls us to surrender it rather than harbor it for the sake of ourselves and those around us. This chapter offers several key lessons about dealing with rebellion and sin. Just as Sheba failed to recognize David's divine appointment, rebellion often begins when we reject God's authority over our lives. We must acknowledge that God places people in positions of leadership and authority, and rebellion against them can be rebellion against God's established order. Secondly, David learned from his experience with Absalom and acted quickly to suppress Sheba's revolt. In the same way, we must address sin and rebellion in our lives before it escalates. If we delay, it may take root, causing more harm than we realize. Another thing that we need to know that treachery will be exposed one day. Joab's treachery, though it went unchecked for a time, eventually led to his downfall. Rebellion, jealousy, and deceit cannot remain hidden forever. They will eventually be judged, whether in this life or the next. The wise woman's intervention in saving the city shows the value of wisdom in dealing with rebellion. Instead of protecting rebellion, we should seek to remove it, no matter how painful it may be. The Benjaminites, in their earlier history, protected sin in the case of Levite's concubine in the book of Judges, and it led to devastating consequences. In contrast, the people of Abel of Beth-makkah surrendered Sheba and spared themselves from destruction. Rebellion and sin are not only destructive to those who commit them, but also to those around them. As believers, we are called to submit to God's authority and to deal swiftly with rebellion, whether it arises in our own hearts or in the communities we belong to. We must exercise wisdom, learning to surrender sin than protecting it, and trust that God's justice will ultimately prevail. The story of Sheba's rebellion reminds us that while rebellion may appear attractive in the moment, it leads only to ruin, either in this life or in the life to come. Let us instead pursue righteousness, following our true King and trusting His plan for our lives. God bless.